Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're excited to bring you episode number 331 of the Mail Right podcast. Today, we're going to be recapping our interview and months worth of research that we have done on Placester. We're going to be talking about who might want to take a look at this system again based on all of that research. And we're going to collectively go back and forth and share some thoughts. Both John and I have like a series of pros and cons that we are just going to bring up and we're going to talk about on the show. So we're excited to get into it. But before we do, I'm going to let my amazing co-host introduce himself to everybody who might be new to the show.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Robert. I'm Jonathan Denwood. I'm the joint founder of MailRight, mail-right.com. And we build WordPress websites for real estate agents, semi-custom to full custom. Plus, we offer a platform that can help you with your digital marketing. Back over to you, Robert.
Okay, so John and I were lucky enough to have Seth Price, who used to be the head of content, and his role has changed a few different times, but he's currently the VP of product at Placester. He came on the show 3-4 months ago. We talked about the new system. We both did some dives into the new way that they produce websites, which is essentially they give you a dashboard and they allow you to slide elements into your completed website. So it's kind of like a custom website builder that's very visual, that can be done with a customer. And they've got 3 or 4 different levels that you can do. They've got basic agent packages, which range from like $50 to $250-ish, okay, which is about the same as their pricing has always been. What's different, for those of you who are listening, is that they've redeveloped the way that they build these sites from start to finish. Now, I personally, while I like the finished product that their new site builder seems to be developing, I didn't feel like it was something that's all that different from some of the other products that are on the market, like Easy Agent Pro, and visually it wasn't different. John, you agreeing or not agreeing so far? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's strange because we normally, even though we're very different in temperament and personality, we normally agree on most of the things that we say on the show. Mm-hmm. But I fundamentally disagree with a couple of things you've just stated there, Robert. Oh, shock horror. He doesn't seem that shocked, folks. No. I think one of the things, Seth is a great guy. Let's start off with, I think he's a great communicator and a great marketer. What I've heard and people say about him, but I always felt there were some fundamental things wrong with Placester. But to get back onto topic about the couple of things, I think the fundamental problem I have with it is that, like Real Geeks or some of the other platforms out there, if you stop paying, you lose access to your website. So if you decide to leave Placester, I don't know, because I haven't done the dive that you've done on it. Mm-hmm. So I might be incorrect, but normally these type of platforms, if you stop paying, you're going to lose access to your website. And what I mean by that, unlike WordPress, like your solution and my solution and some other vendors, not many of them, is that as long as you're up, I don't know what your particular terms and conditions are for your own company, but I would imagine you might charge them a fee or there might be some conditions, but I would imagine that if the relationship breaks down or they're unhappy, as long as they pay you so much money, you probably move it somewhere else because you build your websites on WordPress. I'm only surmising that. We've never discussed that. With MailRight, we will move it somewhere else for you, as long as you're up with your payments with us. You're not in dispute with us financially. Mm-hmm. We will move it, and we do that free of charge as part of our commitment to our customers. So that is one of the fundamental problems with what I have with Placer. Secondly, I haven't played with the interface like you, but I found their pricing structure extremely confusing. Also, I think the fundamental question and problem, which really got them into a lot of trouble, was that they fundamentally overpromised big ways, which is always tempting. We've all been there. Obviously we're running a business. We need clients. We're in competition. So we want to sing the best about our solutions. But there's a fine line where what we deliver really doesn't match up with what marketing messaging we're sending out. And I think they went over that fine line. And I think and the reason why I'm bringing it up is that I don't think it was so much about Seth and the founders. I think it was the fundamental problem with the business model, which is linked because it's VC funded. And because it's VC funded and they got a lot of funding, their necessity when it comes to market share is really unrealistic, in my opinion. And that causes me to have certain problems with not Seth, who I found delightful, very open, obviously very intelligent. I could tell. I watched your first video about this that's on your YouTube channel. Obviously you feel you admire Seth as well. That's really obvious in the video. But I do split up Seth from Placer, and I have probably more problems with Placer than you do.
So I don't fundamentally disagree with anything that you said, not technically. The way that I would phrase it, I would say there's pros and cons. And I'm gonna reiterate some of your cons because I do believe that there are things that anybody listening to this show should look out for. Okay. So let's separate out Robert's admiration for a leader of a tech company, because there's not many that I admire. Seth is one of them. And you laughed. Everybody that knows me knows.
Yeah, I was wondering if you admire me, Robert.
There's only a small handful of people that have done heroic.
You did answer that, folks.
I will get it. We can talk about that offline. I will say that in terms of like what Seth is attempting to do is to take a major misstep and turn it around. And I admire the effort. I admire what he's done, and I admire his attempts. I admire deeply the fact that he turned around and took one of his critics, which was me, and made the effort to, in a very professional, ethical way, try to show that maybe there was something new to look at Placester. I don't know if they've fixed the fundamental core issues that plague the company in terms of their customer service. I don't know that they've addressed some of the mindset challenges. Seth talked to us about this on the show, and for anybody listening, I think you should listen to John, because John was very transparent and brought up his concerns to Seth when he came on the show originally, and Seth had a chance to directly respond to those as a leader of Placester. And his answers were, I felt, honest and transparent. They were, yes, we did make some mistakes. We misstepped. Have we fixed him? I don't know that he knows 100% for sure. No. I think that they're trying. So for all those you listening to the show, this is one of those things where you have to make the decision for yourself. Do I know that the customer service issues have been fixed? No, I do not. Do I think they could have fixed them, given the amount of time that they've had and the amount of money that they have at their disposal? Yes, I actually do think that with the kind of resources that Placester has, that they could, if they put a concerted effort to it, literally have installed hundreds of customer service people, train them properly in the 2 to 3 years since I originally did my review.
Can
Do I know that they've done
Can
that?
I quickly respond to that?
Sure.
Because I totally agree with what you just said. It's just that I just think that it's on there's a larger issue. And the larger issue is the amount of money they raised, and which is a two-edged sword. It gives them the resources to do the things you've just said. But there's the bad side of that. And the bad side is the kind of volume return that's expected for that kind of investment.
Sure.
And I just don't think they need to be running from 5, who know, I'm pulling this out of my backside, but it's a lot of put it this way, a lot of websites they need to be running to get the kind of return that their investors have given them. And because of that, I think that's a fundamental problem.
Well, I humbly disagree. And here's why I disagree. There's 40,000 new real estate agents that get a license every year in the US. 40,000. They're all told, most of them, like let's just say 80% of those people are told that they need a website and buy into the fact that they need a website. Everybody listening to the show who is an experienced agent already knows what the challenges are. You remember from your first year, you're being told when you're making no money, you're on commission only, that you have to have a real estate website. You start making some calls and you discover that a lot of guys out there like me, charge $5,000 or $10,000 for a website, and you're a brand new agent. Obviously, you can't afford 5,000 or 10,000. Many new agents, if not most new agents, won't even many agents won't make that much in commission in their entire first year. It would be bat shit insane to get a new website at that price. So what do? You look to the lower cost providers, for which, by the way, I think that Placester is an excellent solution. Do I think that it's a good idea to not own your real estate website? No, I'm on record 100 times in more places than you are, John, saying that long-term is not a good decision. In the first year or two of your career, though, is it a very good decision for you to partner up with somebody who's going to give you a decent solution at a lower cost? Yes, as long as you get decent customer service to go along with that, which historically Placester did not give. I experienced it myself, did a review on it in 2017, and shared my experience, which Seth addressed in his call. I'm not saying that the problem is fixed. I am merely saying that they appear to have tried to fix it. And if they simply sell half of the people that are coming in with a new license, that is something like $2 million a month in revenue at the prices that they're charging, which is $24 million a year, which is more than enough to satisfy their VC investors. Normally saying that you're going to take 50% of a particular marketplace is a ridiculously high objective. However, considering the fact that they still get 1 to 200,000 people a month to their website, they have the ability. So to put that into perspective for you, John, there's 2 million licensed real estate agents in the US. They're getting 1 million visitors to their website per year. They are legitimately getting in front of 30 to 40% of the entire real estate industry every single year, just in their organic reach. My opinion is that they have the ability to meet these numbers based upon the foundation of this particular company. For me personally, the only thing that I'm looking at is, should you give them your money as opposed to other solutions that are out there that are also inexpensive? That's the only question to me. And there's 2 places that I personally am saying that people should look at. And I'm going to cover those 2 places as soon as we go to a break. So stay tuned, stay to the edge of your seats for all of those people who are interested in learning about Placester. I'm going to come back and give you those 2 reasons. Do us a favor, like or comment wherever you're listening to the show. Okay, if you're listening to it on your phone, leave us a comment on whatever podcast service you're listening to us on, or leave us a comment on Apple, iTunes, wherever you're finding the show. All right, we'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's episode 331. John and I are having a heated debate today over the pros and over the pros and
So,
cons of Placester. I at the break suggested that we were going to have. I was going to give two strong reasons, or my strong reasons, for taking another look at Placester. If they're performing in the customer service area, and you are listening to the show, and you're in the first year of your career, and you're worried about your budget, you're not an experienced business person, you didn't come out of already making six figures or more in some other career field, and you're looking to prop up a decent website, I think that Placester might be something interesting to look at. I have other places I would easily recommend, but Placester is one of the few providers that seemingly might provide a decent website for around the $50 price range per month. Okay, there's only one other solution that comes in at that price range. All right, so that is credible. So they're one of the few places that an agent can go for low budget that would maybe give them a decent website. You won't own it. There's lots of cons, but you're only spending $50 a month. So what do you expect? I don't provide a solution for it. Shoot, I mean, I don't even host my websites for that low of money. I charge $100 a month just to host a site. So that's one person that might look. Now,
the only thing I would say to you, I'm looking at their website now, and for a non-NAR member, if you're paying annually, well, if you pay monthly, and you're a non-NAR member, it's the cheapest plan I'm seeing is $100 a month.
Okay. What if you're a NAR member?
If you are a member, right? It's $80 a month.
Okay. So maybe I'm getting the pricing wrong. Maybe it's no longer a $50 solution. Let's just say there's not. $80 to $100. That still puts them on the low range, even at 80 to 100. The cheapest you can get into would be Easy Agent Pro for about 180. Okay, if you're counting your dollars, saying that.
Well, I've got to admit, I'm a bit biased.
You don't say.
Well, I'm bound to be, ain't I? But you can go to Mailrite, and we got a solution for $40.
Then maybe one of the ways that people could address this is to look at Mailrite. What I like about the Placester solution is the ability to scale from one thing to the next with changing the pricing. The way that they've created their back end slide in solution for both features and functionality as well as design means that you can take the same product and scale it up or down. That is very unique in the WordPress world. It's singular in the WordPress world in real estate. It's very unusual what they built, what Seth built. The way that he built it was he listened to agents. He actually talked to agents. I've had the chance to follow up with a couple of agents that he apparently spoke to, so I know he talked to agents. And so when you're building something and you're listening to the people that you're building it for, usually you're going to get it right. You're usually going to say, what do you think you needs to be done? And Seth and his whole entire team shit the bed the first time around. They built what they thought they should build as website builders. And that's not how you approach real estate. With real estate, you build what the audience wants. And the only way to get to that information is to be inside the real estate industry, talking to real estate agents every single day for a long period of time. And then all of a sudden you start to realize what it is that agents want. Now, their agents are not always right. They also want an all-in-one solution, which Ben Kinney just built for them, and he got $1 billion evaluation. And I'm very suspicious of that whole thing because it's going to be very hard to deliver the end-to-end solution that he promised. However, when it comes to agents and brokers, that's what they want. They're tired of dealing with 9 different technology companies, which if you think about it, even you and I have to do that. We have to send them to another CRM. It doesn't make a difference how many technologists tell the realtor, no, really, this is the way tech works anyway. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see another name on an invoice. That's it. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. I think that the second people that can look at Placester, to circle back to my original point, is brokers. Like, here's what Placester has done that is truly unique, and I have not seen it work. So guys listening to the show, here's my position, not John's. I will say, if any of you are try them and use them, please, for the love of God, email me and let me know what you think, especially if you're a broker and you have a team. What I'm excited about, which I've not seen work, I'm just excited about it, is that they've built a really cool, like, large scale solution for brokers that cost over $1,000 a month, and it's a custom solution. And what you can do though is you can slide in all this different functionality, like call services and call tracking and texting and all these different things that you need at a higher level once you are past. Like, there are people listening to the show that have big teams or who are brokers. There's not there are obviously those of you who are in the real estate industry. You already know this statistic: 20% of you make 80% of the business run for the entire country. And you know who you are. You got a team of 10, you're doing $100 million plus in business, you're top 20% in this industry. So you're doing all that business, but hey, your needs are different than everybody else's. You need something where all your guys can probably have a subdomain and a website. You need them to have a profile and a bio. You need their leads to get sorted and routed. You need to be able to track them as a manager of those leads. You need to be able to know if they called those leads. You need to know that those leads are getting worked and nurtured correctly. That's texted, emailed. That's all the things that a broker is concerned about. They need to have, and preferably they need to have, a simple system at the top of all of it where they track and look at all of this. And if they wanted to, they could add in a layer of marketing to those leads, like direct mail. You could just plug in something and say, okay, I've got 10,000 leads.
Can I respond to what you're saying?
Hit me.
When it comes to the brokerage, I'm slightly more persuaded, but I've got to be honest with you. I'm a bit more persuaded because of integration, and it's got a more. I haven't seen it. You've seen it a little bit more than me, and it's more integrated. I kind of buy into the broker area a little bit more, but I still don't think it's really offering a lot unless the broker is really very, very dissatisfied with their present solutions, because there is a cost of adopting a new platform. And you know, and if you're a medium to large brokerage, it's not something that you're just going to do. It's something that really has to be looked, or you'd be wise to do, needs to be really researched, looked at various competitors and choose one which you feel really meets your maybe individual requirements. And like all Swiss Army knife solutions, they normally, there is the attraction that it is a Swiss Army knife solution, i.e., like you said, you only have one bill, but there's also the bad side of a Swiss Army solution is that it's a Swiss Army solution. It tries to do everything and does everything either reasonably or mediocrely, rather than individual company solutions, and they have one focus on one area and they attempt to be the best in that particular area. Example, text messaging, or Mailrite is a kind of Swiss Army knife, but because it's based on WordPress, we can integrate if they've got open APIs, and we can integrate it, which the other competitors offer as well. So I just don't feel they're offering really anything apart from the ease of the drag and drop and a better interface, which is important. I'm just not buying in the marketing message, which that as heavily as you are. But on the other hand, you're a pretty sharp cookie. So if you're buying into it to the level that you are, there must be something. I trust your judgment.
Well,
So I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. So
here's what I'm buying into. I'm buying into this simple idea. It's not complicated. All the systems that are out there that are built for teams like KV Core, Sync, Boomtown, every single one of those platforms has really gotten on their current path in the mid 2010s. That means that the tech that they are building off of is 10 years old. Everybody listening to this show that has been in real estate for more than 2 or 3 years, they've used half the platforms that we talk about. They've already used Sync or Boomtown or KV Core. They know what they're about. They integrated systems. And when they did it 10 years ago and they tracked the lead on the site, like, it was really exciting. These days, we can take Follow Up Boss, put a two-way integration in, save 80% of the information, and get the same result. It's not innovative anymore, John. It's just not innovative. So what are they getting from the team level? Here's what everybody in real estate has discovered. Holy shit, our team really doesn't use the product that we bought for them at whatever the price is. The Boomtown product at $1,500 a month, it was the most innovative product. What did they do that was different than everybody else? They created a system that was the same, but they came up with the idea of adding in integration managers, and they gave you a lot of tools to onboard your entire team and use the toolkit. Then after the excitement of the original implementation went away, all real estate like brokers discovered my agents just decided to go out and use Zillow, and they're saying fuck it to the Boomtown system that we're spending $1,500 a month to. They're not integrating their leads into the system. They're not throwing their traffic into the system. Everybody has been hammered and inundated with this concept of lead ownership, information ownership. So everybody has a tool that most of their agents aren't using. What has that created? It's created this big hole inside the real estate agent like industry for something different. Why? What else has changed? Well, you know what Boomtown doesn't have? You know what Sync doesn't have? None of them have really strong, compelling text messaging systems in comparison to something like Structurally. And what else don't they have? They all don't have really individualized action plans client to client. They don't have the list of things that they don't have goes on and on. Everybody here who's listening to the show probably already knows what they don't have. All I see that Seth did is he built a possible solution. That's it. I'm not saying he succeeded. I'm merely saying that he did the right thing when he developed it. He built build it yourself, because the other problem with all of these systems is that when they built them, they walked through the door saying, I have a one size fits all thing and it's so clever, it's going to work for you. Guess what? Vast majority of time it doesn't, John. I've talked to so many brokers and so many agents, and you have too. Do you remember Chris Aniszewski? He was talking about how Boomtown worked fine for his team for 2 or 3 years, and then it didn't. And when he tried to move off the platform, he discovered that their that they were not very helpful when it came to, my apologies, everybody. They were very unhelpful when it came to migrating data out of Boomtown into other systems. And that is a problem, not a small problem, but a big problem. It's your data, making it hard to transfer from one place to the next.
That's the point, because that's why you need to really read the contract that you're signing, because obviously that isn't the real case with a lot of these platforms. If you read the small print, you
Correct.
don't own the data.
So we're going to continue to talk about this. We're going to go to our second and final break. We're going to move the last 10 to 15 minutes of the show over to the Mail-Right YouTube channel. So you're going to go to YouTube/Mail-Right, and you're going to check out the remainder of the show on YouTube. We'll be talking probably a little bit about data, and we'll continue to talk about what I think the need is that Placester saw in 2019. And I'm going to talk about one big point that is really relevant. Okay, and it is essentially the idea that Placester is the only person that spent millions of dollars re-engineering their systems in the last 2 years. Everybody else has not done that. And I'll tell you where they've spent their money and how they decided to go, how each of these companies decided to do it, which also makes Placester unique. All right, so stay tuned. It is, yeah, stay tuned if you'd like to. John, why don't you tell people how, if they would like to reach out to you. So I'm going to suggest this. John oftentimes says, what about MailRight? So guys, you should call John. You should email John, however he tells you, about ready to tell you to do it. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation with either one of us, actually. We both do consultations for free. There's a reason for that. These conversations are complicated. Not one size fits all. You can talk to John, and maybe he'll direct you to his solution. Maybe he'll direct you to somebody else's. So with that, John, if somebody did want to reach you, how would they do it?
They just need to go to the mail-right.com website, and they can book a demo, and they can book a chat with me, Robert.
Perfect. All right. And if you want to do the same, for some of you want to talk to me about something, you can do so at inboundrem.com. You can hit my contact form. There's places aplenty to reach out to me, and I will send you a link to my calendar if I think it's appropriate, and we can have a long conversation about what may or may not be a good technology solution for you and your business. All right. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Listen, we're doing the show for you. So do us a favor. Let us know if you like it. Like, just give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you see this there. If you see this on the MailRight Facebook page, leave John a comment or a thumbs up. And if anybody's seeing it on my site, leave me a comment on my site. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time. For those of you who are going to stick around, we'll see you on YouTube. 3, 2. Welcome back to the MailRight Show, ladies and gentlemen. You're now at the special bonus content part of the show. It's episode number 331. We've been talking about Placester. We moved a little bit into information and privacy rights when we were ending the primary show. I promised a bonus comment. Here's the bonus comment, because it has to do with the industry as a whole and why I am keen on certain brokers and certain agents taking another look at Placester. The thing that Placester did that nobody else has done is that Boomtown raised $20 million about 3-4 years ago. You know what they spent it on? Infrastructure. They bought a new building. They did not decide to re-engineer their system or go back to the drawing board again, because it's a huge effort. It's a huge task to rebuild these systems, and they did not do it. Sync hasn't done it. KV Core hasn't done it. Sierra Interactive hasn't done it. There's only 2 companies that have redesigned their entire system from start to finish in the last few years. One is Real Estate Webmasters, and the other is Placester. And I'm talking about the big companies, guys. I'm not talking about the small ones. I'm not talking about the small independents. I'm a small independent, and I've re-engineered my system 3 times. Okay, but I'm not doing it at the scale that Placester is. I'm just re-engineering my stack, my WordPress theme. I'm not building an end-to-end custom solution. And I have lots of complaints about being an entrepreneur and spending $300,000 because I don't have the money that these guys have either. So I'm spending all this money re-engineering this little teeny tiny theme because we keep figuring out that we basically did something wrong. So when these big guys do it, I have mad respect for it. The amount of money that Placester probably, I mean, they really scrapped what they were doing and decided to do it all over again, and probably spent millions on doing it.
Yeah, millions. But the truth is, Robert, is that they had, if they were going to continue, they had to really do that, didn't they? Because they had left such a bad taste in so many over-promised and under-delivered so much that they had to literally do that.
I would disagree. They could have easily packaged Placester up and sold it. Yeah, and they have 300,000 accounts under their name. Yeah. There's somebody that would have bought them. That's it.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So they instead decided to stay in the game and try to fix the challenges that they have. And again, I want to be clear for everybody listening to the show. I do not know whether or not they've done that. I'm not endorsing them madly. I am endorsing the effort that they made. I am endorsing the idea behind what they've done. They may have shit the bed. So
I'm
we
not.
don't know.
I'm not saying that either. I totally agree. It's going to be really interesting to see if they regain traction. They really, I think, on the franchise stroke brokerage level, because of what you've said, which is very logical, that they stand a really good chance of getting traction because the things you said about Boomtown and the Alamein players, KV Core, I totally agree, and it totally makes logic and sense. So they have opportunity when it comes to the smaller, uh, comparing it to either Easy Agent Pro, Real Geeks, the 4 to 5 solutions, and Mailright's a tiny, tiny little player in that. I'm a scrappy entrepreneur trying to get some traction, trying to fit market, trying to find my little corner of the market. And it's been a bit of a wonder and a bit of education, to say the least, but I'm still in the fight. I'm not so sure about that, because I'm not totally sure about that based on the pricing and what you get, but I might be totally wrong there as well, because I think what you're saying is, obviously I'm biased, but at least I can see it. But on the other thing, I think you were pointing out to me, or trying to, in a very diplomatic way, is that a lot of the other solutions, compared to the new build out, the new functionality, the new UX design, is so much better in usability and functionality than legacy systems, that you feel they stand a good chance of really gaining some traction. I think that's what you were trying to point out to me, wasn't it?
I do, and I think that they've got a chance to offer something that isn't available, and I think that that is going to be important to a section, not everybody, John. There are plenty of people out there. There's a reason Boomtown's still in business, and Sync and KV Core and all those other guys. They are providing a solution that works for a lot of people, and they've been doing it for a long time, and they probably still have plenty of room to run. But there are a number of people that have been through all those solutions, and I know because I take calls from them all the time, every day. And there's plenty of people that have been through all those solutions and just don't feel like any one of those things worked quite right. Well, maybe if you had somebody that was building something that was custom for every client, plugging in just the features that you needed, maybe they would have a solution that would work for these customers that are out there. And how much would I guess that is? Maybe 8 to 10% of the real estate industry, but that's a big number of people because we're talking the custom level now. We're talking $1,000 plus per month, and all those people that are in the 8 to 10%, they're not gonna. They don't want to spend that money if they don't have to, but they have it to spend for sure. They've been spending it for years. They've been spending it on Sync. They've been spending it on Boomtown. They've been spending it on KV Core, not to the high as big of a degree. Some of them have been trying Chime and getting wildly disappointed. So, and then before that, there was Conversion, and there was other people.
Yeah. Also, just to end the conversation, the other factor that I think is affecting all this, it's affected the pivots that I've had to do with Mailright, and it's affected the industry in general, is what I call digital lead inflation.
Okay.
And I think you know where I'm going from this. What is really a lead? What isn't a real lead? How do you classify one in the industry? What one person classifies what a lead is to what other person really sees a lead. There's a lot of misinformation and also miscommunication and honest, total unrealistic expectation around price connected to, and these systems have it's not only legacy technology, they've been part of this of lead inflation, as I call it, and it's had consequences, and it's left a lot of bad, for understandable reasons. And I've got to be honest, I think Placer was being part of that as well, and for understandable business reasons. And we need a whole podcast just to discuss that, which we'll probably have in April. But I think you can see, hopefully you can see where I'm going, why I've
You know what?
introduced.
I'm going to email you right now because you always say, Robert, what do you want to talk about? I think you brought up a really fascinating subject that we've never ever discussed. And I'm going to email it to you right now, John.
Yeah.
And for those of you who stuck into the show, it's going to be called The Lead Inflation Show.
Yeah. We'll probably have to have a couple because it's such a big, but there's been big consequences about this mismatch that's all over the industry, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and part of lead inflation to the perspective of the people using the services are pretty understandable fumbles for tech companies, like not having properly trained salespeople. So you buy a product thinking it does one thing, and then you discover that basically you're misrep to, and now you have to scrap the whole system and move on to another one, which plays into the cost of your total lead generation for the year. So it's lead inflation, just like you said. But you're right, it's a whole nother show. John and I have to run today. We're actually having a meeting with each other after the show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not going to be happy after this show, folks. All right.
Thank you, everybody who tunes in, especially for those of you who are dedicated to the MailRight YouTube channel. And if you happen to see me on in my channels, John and I are so incredibly grateful to you. As much as we like to rib each other, we couldn't do the show without all of you.
Right. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye.